Live Struggle Legacy. It's a whole movement.
Hey everybody, it's your boy MP, Live Struggle Legacy, and welcome to episode 14 of the Live Struggle Legacy podcast. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming this far with us in this podcast. We're 14 episodes in. If you haven't already done so, please go listen to the previous 13. I'm taking you through this journey with me. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, the like button, the notification button, drop a comment, share it. If you're listening on a podcast platform, please rate us. That helps us get in front of a bigger audience. So if it's the simplest, easiest way that you can support, and it doesn't cost you a penny. So please do. All right, last episode, I was talking about my journey with Orange Theory, how I'm grinding. And I was talking about the halfway house. Now, I want to revisit. I'm filling in these blanks because this is all train of thought. So I just want to go back a little bit. And I'm trying to segue us out of this prison shit, just to be real with y'all. But I didn't tell you something about the halfway house. So first of all, I want to look right into this camera and I'm going to say, fuck a Goodwill. Okay, fuck Goodwill. I don't mean Goodwill as a concept. I mean Goodwill as a brand where you think you're helping people when you go. Because Goodwill is a huge corporation. Okay, they're all over the place. And in my opinion, maybe they do some things for, homeless people. But it's always a this for that. It's government subsidized in the worst kind of way. And they are a for-profit company. Okay, I don't care what. They may be a non-profit to a certain extent, but there's people making millions of dollars off of Goodwill. And I'm saying that because the halfway house with all those techs that would harass us coming home, trying to get our lives together and make it very difficult for us, that was a Goodwill. I lived in a Goodwill for at least a couple months, right? And I had to go back and forth there. But here's why I'm saying fuck Goodwill and this entire halfway house system. Because I had to pay them a quarter of my income before taxes, right? A quarter of my income, 25% of my income, right? So again, I was blessed to have a place to go and save money, right? Now I get that you have to pay your way while you're living there, but when you go to home confinement, you're no longer eating their food, you're no longer living in their space. You're living in somebody else's space, having to get your own food or live off somebody else's food, and you still have to pay them 25% of your income. So fuck them. Disrespectfully. Okay, so enough of that. That's my vent for the podcast. So I made it out the halfway house. I got the ankle monitor clip. Just a quick recap. I told you all the different jobs I was doing, the insulation, the car washing, the Orange Theory Hunger Games. So now, in this point in my life, I am back and forth between the Tyrone location, the St. Pete location, the Brandon location, the South Tampa location, the New Tampa location, the Palm Harbor location, and once in a while the Clearwater location. These are all the different studios that I'm frequenting. And let me tell you what my Fridays were like at this point. Now, I'm not complaining. I was loving this. You got to remember, I'm fresh off a long-ass bid. I finally got the job I wanted to do, and I would see these people complaining about it and not wanting classes. I'm eating these classes up, y'all. At one point, I was teaching almost 30 classes. I've taught 30 classes in a day. 30 classes in one day. No. I'm a lot. That's a lot. Hang on. Let me gather my thoughts here. 30 classes in a week. 8 classes a day. 8 classes a day every single Friday. I did that for at least 6 weeks in a row, where I would wake up at 2:30 in the morning and I would open in Brandon at 4:30. I would teach the 5 a.m. to 6:15, clean the studio. Then I would go to New Tampa. I would teach the 9 a.m., the 9 a.m., the 10:15, and then they had a noon that I taught. And then I had to clean that whole studio, right? Then when I finish with the 12:30, I probably leave there about 2. Now I got to race traffic from New Tampa, which is off of Bruce B. Downs, all the way up like Tampa Road and all that, right off of Nebraska and US 19, the Orange Theory, Palm Harbor. And then I would teach, what was it? The 3:30, the 3 p.m., the 4:15, and the 5:30. And then I got to clean that whole studio. By then I'm toast, y'all. Toast. I'm talking about this I almost died quite a few times. I'd be driving, there was my final stretch, I'd be driving from New Tampa to Palm Harbor and dozing, waking up, dozing, putting my windows down, putting them back up, turning music, slapping myself in the face, doing everything that I could to make it, right? And I'm not complaining, I was loving every moment of this. I was a single man, you know what I mean, fresh out of prison. I was in the best shape of my life. And I finally got the job that I worked so hard to get into. So I'm grinding, I'm making money. And what they would do, what Orange Theory would do, they would send me to these studios that weren't doing real well, or where they just needed help. So when I was subbing, it was just where they needed help. And that's why I love to go to places like South Tampa and 4th Street, because they were super hot. So, and I got paid per capacity. So, you know, the more people that show up, the more money I get paid. So, but where they would schedule me, because I was the new guy, was where they were very low performing. But let me tell you something, man. I would make those, so the difference between me and a lot of these other coaches, I remember I went and taught a class that was one person in the class. I was supposed to cancel it, but I'm like, listen, I'm here, you here, you're not going home, brother. The man was Tom. Shout out to Tom. So me and Tom got it in. I worked out next to him at the treadmill. I did all this. And these classes usually have like 24 people in them. But I'm telling you that to tell you that when they put me in that studio, dead, empty. Well, word spreads like wildfire, right? I would make, every single class I would make a playlist. So I'm like DJing, and I would make a playlist like super lit. Not just music I like. If you took an intro class with me, I'd say, okay, what kind of music you like? Now, you better not say like smooth jazz or something. We'll do that in the cool down, but we can't turn up on the treadmill or something like that. So, you know, it's got to be energetic. But anyway, I would make these playlists for my members, and these classes would go from being completely dead to waitlisted. I'm talking about jam-packed full. And I did that in at least 2 studios. I definitely did it in New Tampa, and I definitely did it in Palm Harbor. And I can't take all the credit because, again, we were building teams. But I will tell you, those classes for Coach Mike were lit, and they were waitlisted. Not in the beginning, though, so I had to earn it. So mind you, I finally got what I wanted in terms of the job, but I was telling you that I was starting to get a little jaded because I did this for over a year now, and they're still not giving me what I want. And then, like, where I did get a little frustrated with one of the regional people who actually I love with all my heart, but I think she was trying to groom me into being a head coach at a studio that was far away from me. And then, you know, they asked me what I wanted. And I told them, I want St. Pete. I want to be closer to home. I don't want to make this commute. I damn sure don't want to move to Tampa, right? But I'm doing this to help the brand, to show willingness. But then I'm expecting something later down on the road, right? Once I show and prove. But when I said what I wanted, rather than helping me get in position to get that, my classes got cut, right? But it's like, I'm tough, y'all. I told you before, you won't stop me, you won't slow me down. I didn't quit. I just kept grinding in those other places, making myself a bigger asset, creating a higher demand for my class times. And, you know, work eventually speaks for itself. You put things out in the universe, and then you get things back in return. So, I'm going to take a quick break from talking about the Orange Theory and the work ethic, and I want to bring this back to what pulled me through all of this. And when I say all of this, I mean this grand scheme. From prison to the halfway house, to these menial jobs, to being degraded, right? To being told no after no after no. Well, how did I get my ass up every morning, 2:30 a.m. sometimes, no later than 4:30, like a machine. Gratitude, y'all. Every single day, at least once a day, many times a day, I had to find something to be grateful for. When I was sitting in that hole in Yazoo City and I had shit crawling all inside my body, I had to sit there and thank God for this life, for my family, for my breath, for my body, right? And I'm telling you this because if you're going through anything out there, anything, and you're going for something, you got goals, or you're trying to get out of a bad situation, man, I cannot tell you how powerful gratitude is. If you can't find anything right with your life, find something to be grateful for and start there. And I promise the more you focus on that, it's like magic. I mean, this is God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. We could call it physics, right? Energy. What you think about, you bring about. Where focus goes, energy flows. You're focusing on positivity. When you focus on gratitude, and positive things start to happen in your life. And I'm telling you, I know this. You can sit there and say, oh, but you had people helping you and you had people helping. Man, not on that grind, I didn't. If anything, I had people trying to stop me. So it's like if I didn't keep that attitude, there's no way I would have made it this far. No way. Right? And I still got a long way to go in life, but I'm sharing this with you because that was my secret sauce, so to speak. That was my elixir to keep me going through all of that. Faith and gratitude, knowing it was going to be okay no matter what I did. So, on that note, I said this before and I want to say it again, like, if you're watching this podcast and you did anything from me, you gave me an opportunity, right? Thank you. Thank you. Even if you tried to hurt me in some way, shape, or form and hold me back, thank you. Because you made me stronger. So, what I didn't talk about at all in this podcast is my romantic life, right? And now it's not about to all of a sudden get all, heated. And I'm just going to say this. I was gone a long time, and, I'm a able-bodied male, heterosexual male. So it's like, of course, I came home and I was, and I did tell you about a friend that was amazing, and we had a thing. But the reality of me and my situation in this whole dating world, and some people have relationship goals in life, and I don't knock that. I think that's a beautiful thing. If you could have a relationship with somebody and have a beautiful life, but I've never had those. And, but I've had goals. I've had big goals. I've been super ambitious, and I've had plans, and I've always been mission based, right? And if things happen along the way, they happen along the way. But like when I came home, I'm meeting different people, and really nobody in their right mind is going to want a relationship with somebody who is this ambitious. Like when I'm not doing the coaching, you know what I mean? When I'm not working my ass off, I'm working on my music. You know what I mean? And so like, how much room is there to have dates and all this other stuff, right? And I'm not trying to go too deep into this, but I'm building up a story also. Initially, I was attracting old friends, right? Some of them amazing. Like I said, my one close homegirl that I dated, she was amazing, right? And but I couldn't be what she needed. I couldn't be that. I'm honest with myself and I'm honest with others, right? She deserved better than somebody with this much ambition. You're not going to keep me in the house. I can't. And I'm not saying I'm out like a stray dog, but what I'm saying is I'm focused on this mission. Everything that I'm doing is geared towards this higher purpose, right? This mission that I've been working on since I was like 17 years old, right? It never stops. The vision never changes. It just evolves, right? So I'm attracting the same old like stripper types at the same time, right? And I'm telling you this because I'm not going to say no names. Maybe this person is watching. I hope they're not, but it is what it is. This is where it gets a little bit juicy. So there was this girl that I was like in love with in high school. I'm not going to lie, I was in love. She wouldn't give me the time of day. And when I was on house arrest, I told you I was on Facebook, and you start seeing all these people you may know and this and that sort of thing, and then so somehow, I don't remember how I ended up talking to this girl, but we ended up just messaging a lot, right? And then I'm like, wait a minute, did you go to Lakewood? You went to Lakewood? I went to Lakewood. Wait a minute, do I know you? You're right, because she was actually going by a different name, which should have been a red flag, but whatever. You know what I mean? I got love for this girl. I'm not about to bash her. I'm just going to tell you that she had a lot more going on than I thought she did. And I wasn't ready for that. But here I'm kind of blinded because Mr. Mission-based, I don't need a relationship. I wasn't necessarily trying to have a relationship with this girl, but I was very much attracted. And then suddenly became distracted. And my mission started to become convoluted. Not the Orange Theory mission. I'm locked in every day. But I started getting distracted. I'm not focused on my music as much, right? Not focused on my branding as much. I'm out in that world. Between all this work, there's no play. So this was like my little window, so to speak, to try to find a little bit of play with all this work I've been doing since I came home, right? And what was kind of cool about this chick, she loved my music. She loved my music, so she did support me in that. And I would be spitting my little raps to her and stuff. So I'm still, in my bag to a certain extent. I just don't have money for the studio. I'm paying my bills, right? But anyway, things got real sour with this woman and really scared me straight, right? Not that I was crooked in any way, but I started having some drinks. No crazy partying. And what ended up happening was I went to like full blown like monk mode, so to speak. No drinking, no distraction, cut my social media. And I started going to this yoga studio, right? Now, what I didn't tell you was I did a lot of yoga up the road in prison. I learned from all these different people. I told you about JC. I told you about Black. I told you about Bully. I told you about Sun. I told you about Yogi Rob, right? The Yoga Bully, right? The Beast. I had never taken a free world yoga class, although at least once or twice a week I was doing yoga in the park, and I was actually making decent money. I'd bring a little can, and like friends and family from all over the city would come out there. I was doing it right out there at North Shore Park, like right by the Vinoy, right on the water. It was amazing. I loved it. And I had this like pretty decent following that would come out at least once a week and do this yoga with me, right? But I had never taken a free world yoga class. Now, in the process of me talking to some of my friends. Now I'm not gonna lie, most of my friends they will not do yoga. They won't go to yoga class. It was like their girlfriends or just like mainly females, to be honest, telling me like, you should try this place or you should try that place. So there's this one place, and I'm not gonna name them because they're getting no free promo today. We don't see eye to eye on everything, but this one place that I'm super grateful for. Again, let's bring it back to gratitude. I started going there. And there was this one teacher there who is amazing. And I don't know if she wants to be named, so I'm not going to name her. But she was amazing. And I'm not going to lie, when I first met her, I didn't like her. I thought she was kind of a bitch, just to be real. Like her demeanor, she kind of seemed like pompous, a little bit arrogant. I'd ask her questions. She'd kind of blow me off. But somebody else was like, no, you only took this class. You need to go take this class. I think you really like it. So I gave it a second wind, right? And I'm doing this because, to be real, like I'm kind of having some personal issues going on. Like, all I'm doing is working, and I'm not where I want to be with music, and Orange Theory is kind of taking over my life, and like my romantic life is non-existent. So I'm like trying to find my tribe, so to speak, trying to attract maybe subconsciously a partner. Who knows? This is where the universe is guiding me. Let me just tell you that. So I started taking this really advanced yoga class, like super advanced. And it was like Ashtanga based with all these inversions. So this is like, it's damn near like interval training, but yoga. It's probably like the most intense yoga that you could find out there. It's like a power, but it wasn't called power. But I loved it because this is kind of my personality. This is my energy, right? And I remember one day, I'm taking a class, and like I can do a lot of shit. Like, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I can do a lot of I've been doing yoga for years and years. I used to do yoga like 4 hours a day up the road. So I could do a lot of things that even people who've been coming to classes a long time can't do. So people would kind of be staring at me in these classes. And so there was this one particular girl, this beautiful girl. And she got my attention. Now, I don't wear my glasses, right? When I'm taking workout classes, when I do yoga, because they fog up on me. And I'm not gonna lie, when I don't wear my glasses, I can't see a motherfucking thing. I can't see shit, right? So I'm not really paying that much attention to people because I just see blurs. And sure, I can see silhouettes, so I can see, oh, damn, she got a nice body. But I'm not trying to stare. I'm not trying to be a creep. You know what I mean? But all I know is this particular woman got my attention. And she was beautiful. And as I got closer, I could see how beautiful she was. And she said to me, Orange Theory and yoga in the same day? She said, I thought I was the only one crazy enough to do that. And I'll never forget that. Because she ended up becoming my son's mom. Right? Not immediately, clearly. But it's like, again, the universe guided me. The universe took me out of, some spaces that were not serving my energy, right? Were not serving my purpose, and brought me into these different spaces where now, I'm feeling fulfilled at the end of each day, right? And I'm not gonna lie, these yoga classes get deep, y'all. Like I told you about those crazy days when I'd be listening to pop, driving at like 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning, going to coach all these classes, and I have tears running down my face like a crazy person. Well, I go in these yoga classes, going through all this shit, and I do this crazy yoga routine. My body's just exhausted, and then we always do something called Shavasana at the end, where you just relax. And the one yoga teacher I really liked, she would chant in Sanskrit, in this incredible voice in Sanskrit. And sometimes she would even have people come and play, sound healing instruments or do glass bowls, but I can't think, the crystal bowls, right? And this is like really calming, meditative, right? This is sound healing, right? If you're not familiar, check it out, right? But I'm telling you this to say, like, I'd be in these classes and I'd have just poured my whole, body out onto this mat, soaking wet. My mat would be drenched with sweat, and I'd be laying there and just tears rolling down my face. I couldn't tell you why, but it's like I'm purging emotionally. Right? And to the point where, like, I'm talking about like deep crying, where my whole body's shaking, right, on this mat. And it was during one of these days in one of these classes that I just so happened to lock eyes with this woman who introduced herself to me, right? And I didn't see her again after that, but I'm not gonna lie, like I kept thinking, damn. I didn't remember what she looked like because I didn't have my glasses. I just remembered her complexion. I remembered her hair. And I remember she had these like real sexy yoga pants. Back to the yoga pants. And they had like slits on the side. And I remember it was so impactful that I went back and told my mom, I'm like, Mom, I met this girl. And I don't remember what I told her, but I told her about the pants. And it's funny because my mom remembers everything. Like I'm pretty close with my mom now after all those years. And my mom would always be like, hey, did you see the girl with the yoga pants? Hey, have you seen her yet? Did you see her? And I'm like, no, Mom, I haven't seen her, but I'm still, but at this point, it's like, I wouldn't know if I saw her. But at some point, I ran into her again, and we talked, and I learned that she wasn't from around here, that she didn't really know a lot of people, and, I'm from the Bird. Maybe that's West State. Like, if you don't know that's a piece of the chorus from that very first song I was telling you about in an early episode. But I say that to say, like, I'm really proud of this city, St. Pete, and I like to think of myself as a local tour guide. And anybody that's not familiar, I take great pride in showing people what I consider my city, right? So I'm like, well, let me show you around. I'll show you this. What are you into? So we ended up meeting at a tea place and having tea. And without going into every little detail, I'll just say this is different for me because I'm used to meeting chicks at bars. I'm used to meeting chicks to like have a drink and smoke a joint or go to a club, or you know what I mean? I'm not used to going and meeting somebody and having tea. So this is different for me. But this is where the universe is bringing me, y'all. So one thing led to another, And the next thing you know, we're moving in with each other. And the only reason I'm telling you about this, because I'm not here talking about my romantic life, but at some point, this woman became the mother of my child. And if you know me, then you probably know that I never in a million years wanted to be a dad or thought that I would be a dad, right? And took every precaution to not let that happen. Well, things happen. There's a John Lennon quote. John Lennon says, "Life is what happens when you're planning other things." And so by this time, her and I moved in together, and she wasn't feeling good. And I kept thinking, like, okay, there was that one night. And all it was one night. That's all it takes. There was that one night where, I did happen to have a drink and didn't take all the precautions, right? But I'm not saying that from a place of regret. I'm saying that from a place of, okay, this is where the universe guided me. And I'm grateful for that one night, and I'm grateful for that woman, because being a father has been the most incredible blessing of my life. And so I'm going to tell y'all something that doesn't make me feel real good to tell y'all, but this is what it is, y'all. This is real, raw, uncut. When I found out she was pregnant, and she found out she was pregnant, we were like, I don't know if I'm ready to have a baby, right? And I even into thinking where the conversation was going, but I'm just going to say this. She found out way late. And let me tell you something. The child. I said, a few more details. People, my bosses and everything, they found out that I was going to be a dad. Finally, they gave me what I had been asking for the previous 2-3 years. They put me closer to home. And what's pretty incredible about the brand of Orange Theory, and I don't mean the brand, the corporate, fuck corporate, just be honest. I mean the membership base, the communities built around these studios. They threw me 3 baby showers for my child. And I didn't have to buy anything for that boy. Of course, I'm getting special things that I think are special, but they threw 3 baby showers. Not to mention my unbelievable friends and family. They made sure like we weren't going to need for anything when my child was born. I'm telling you, the blessings were abundant and just pouring in for this baby boy, my baby boy. So now, the brand is kind of on the back burner. The music is on the back burner. But what I didn't tell you is right before I met my son's mom, in the process of the self-discovery and me, trying to do more than just Orange Theory, because Orange Theory did take over my life. It kind of had to in order for me to get there. I applied for a grant at St. Petersburg College. And when I applied for that grant, I said, okay, if I can get into this program, then I'm going to go back to school. But if I don't get the grant, I don't get the money, I'm not going back to school. I'm just going to stick with what I know. Well, I applied for a grant into the Mirror program at St. Petersburg College. If you don't know what the Mirror program is, it's called the Music Industry Recording Arts Program. And it's an unbelievable program. I was telling you before I went to prison, I was looking at Full Sail and decided it wasn't for me. Too expensive, and you don't even get to work on your own music. No disrespect to Full Sail, but I mean, it kind of feels like a little scammy, just to be honest. I mean, some people went and did great things, but it's more of a marketing thing, right? And then, of course, I was looking at School of Audio Engineering in Atlanta, and of course, I was telling you all that I was going to go to Georgia State because they had a music program. That was actually the plan before they took me away. But I knew about the Mirror program way back when, and now I can see I can get a grant. So I started attending St. Pete College in the Mirror program. I ended up getting a grant, and let me tell y'all something. I loved it because it put me kind of back to the band room with Big Baby. But now I got these young kids. I'm like the old head in the class now because I'm like, I'm like in my 30s, and all these kids are like fresh out of high school, but they're musicians, and I'm not a musician. I got the voice, I got the ideas, but now I have access to drummers, pianists, guitar players, singers, and they kind of look up to me because I'm the OG, and I got this voice. So plus I have access to Grammy award-winning teachers, Tom Morris, Morris Sound, Dave Greenberg, Dan Hetzel. These are people that have worked on everything from Billy Joel to Jennifer Lopez to, the accolades are just unreal. And now I have access to these people. They're helping me. You know what I mean? Like I get, and when I tell you they made themselves available, I mean, I can't emphasize the value enough. Like if you're younger, even if you're older and you want a music education, Mirror is unmatched in this area. It's really amazing. I think it's not quite what it was when I was there because COVID kind of changed everything. But I was enrolled in this program, and when I found out that I was going to be a father, and now I kind of felt like I was at a crossroads because I felt like the responsible thing to do as a dad was to stop going to school and get a second job because now I feel like I have to provide. And I've told you about how much I love and respect my sister in the past. Like my sister has helped me make so many life decisions when my judgment wasn't necessarily at its best. And this was one of those moments when I was talking to my sister and I was just like, yo, I think I'm going to drop out of school and get another job. She's like, well, what I think? She said, I think that the best thing you can do as a father is to teach your child never to let go of their dreams. So if my sister's watching this right now, I just want to say I love you for that because I probably would have stopped to take care of my son's mom and my child. And it's such a beautiful blessing that I didn't because so many things have progressed towards this movement, towards this brand that brought us all here right now, the Live Struggle Legacy brand, right? So now I'm working at Orange Theory. I'm now in my classes. I'm teaching like 24 classes a week, in just 2 studios, which is pretty amazing. I'm much closer to home. They finally put me in the brand new downtown location, which I was trying to get into a year before it opened. And that's kind of why I was salty with that regional dude, because he knew that's what I wanted, and he didn't put me in there when they opened it after he told me he would. So he kind of sold me a dream. And, you know, I'm the kind of person, if you're going to say you do something and you don't do it, I don't take that lightly. I'm not out for vengeance, but I'm never going to look at you the same, right? But a year later, now I finally get what I want, right? So it's helping the situation. I'm there for my son's mom, and I cannot tell you how I was there for my son's mom, right? So what, I mean, you know, of course my child was born, and I could go into all the mushy details of that. It was just amazing. You already know I don't have to explain that anymore. And if you're a parent, then you definitely know. But like, so it was like, there's no sleep, y'all. There's no sleep. This time I had a split shift. I'm opening and teaching the 5 a.m., 6:15, 7:30, working out in the 8:45, and then I'm going home and I'm on daddy duty, right? Just for a couple hours. I try to take a power nap with my baby boy, but he was a baby. He needs a lot, and newborn baby. And then I would go to Tyrone and I would close. I believe it was like I think it was the 3, 4:15, 5:30 type of deal, and then clean up the whole night, right? And that was my regimen. And I think I had maybe 1 or 2 days off a week, so I'm grinding. But at one point, when I was going to school, I'm waking up, I'm teaching the 5 a.m., 6:15, 7:30, and then I'm going straight to school from 9 a.m. until like 3 p.m., 4 p.m., right? And then going and closing at work, right? So there's no more naps, no more power naps, no more rest. And, you know, my son's mom was going through a lot, right? And she's been through her struggle, her journey, whatever. It's not my place to say anything about her other than I was doing my best to be there for her, but she was needing a lot. I mean, as would any brand new mom, right? And I was doing my best to be there for her, to be there for my son, to be there to hold on to my dream and be pursuing my passion, and to be there for all these members. And, you know, there were times I wasn't at my best. You know, I'm burned out. I'm barely sleeping, you know, and I'm exercising, still doing what I can to stay in shape, you know. And we were kind of riding this roller coaster. But, you know, by the time my son was like 18 months or so, it started to be like, okay, I've done a lot for you. It's like, I need to start doing more for me. And I remember this conversation where she was like, well, I let you go to school. And I'm not going to lie, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because I'm like, you let me go to school. First of all, I have no fucking life. I go to work, I come home, I take care of you and my son, and I go to school. But it's like, there's nothing outside of that. In this process, I didn't cut off all my homeboys. I didn't cut off the entire world, family, and everything, because this is my family. And at the same time, I'm feeling all this pressure from her, because here we are in this nesting stage, and she wants to go travel over here, go travel over there, and do all these things. And I'm like, listen, we're nesting right now. We got this newborn baby, right? So there starts to become like just this little bit of friction. And, you know, I'm not going to sit there and say like I'm perfect and it's all her fault, because I don't always have the appropriate response, right? You know, I may have reason to be unhappy about certain things, but I'm a very intense person. So just like I give everything in these classes, I give everything in these music, I give everything to this brand, as you can see, I hope you see, I give everything to this podcast, I'm all in. But because I'm such an intense person, when we have disagreements, I can't help but to come off as abrasive. And not to say like abusive or anything like that, but it can be perceived when a person has an intensity that's maybe a little bit beyond the norm, right? Some people can perceive that as aggression, right? So it's like things were just starting to become rough. And this is just before COVID hit. We had a little blowout. And, you know,
I don't want to give all the details because it's not. This ain't for y'all, right? But I will say this: I wanted to make it work more than anything in the world. Okay, never in my life did I want a wife. Never in my life. And just be honest, never in my life did I have like relationship goals. But when I found out I was gonna be a dad, I put a ring on it, y'all. And I'm just gonna share this story. I mean, you can clown me whatever you want, but I think this story is worth sharing. So, when my son's mom, rewind a little bit before the friction. When my son's mom was pregnant, we went to a wedding shower in upstate New York from where my dad's family's from. And my mom's family, who's from St. Pete, and my dad's family were all in New York. And I had people fly out from Cali, family. I had family fly from Atlanta. I mean, we had people, and they were all there for my sister, not for me, for my sister's wedding shower before my sister got married, right? And my son's mom was showing, I don't remember how many months she was, but I want to say she was like, I don't know, 7, maybe even 8 months into the pregnancy, right? Because this was August and my son was born in September. So we go to my pop-pop's house. We're staying at my pop-pop's house. And if you remember from the very second episode where I give you my life's history, I named my son after my grandfather, right? My grandfather meant a lot to me. That house was a magical place, right? And I'm thinking, you know, and I don't have a whole lot of money, but I did all this homework. I'm trying to find her this special ring, and it had like her gemstone. And like, I'm doing things that I normally wouldn't do, but I'm experiencing something that I never experienced, right? And I come from like an old school, somewhat traditional Italian family where like, we're having a baby together. It don't matter what differences we got. We're going to make this work. We're going to make this life work together. At least that's the way I saw it, right? And I'm not knocking her and saying that she saw things entirely different, but that's just the way that I saw it. I could only speak from my level of experience and my perception, right? So I thought of this real cheesy idea where my grandfather's garden, he had this garden, this big backyard where I would play as a child every time we went to New York in the summers. And in the winters, we'd be out there trying to, you know, build a snowman. But this garden meant a lot to me. I don't think it meant that much to her, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm not salty about it. But what I did was I took this ring that I got and I put it inside of a flower in my grandfather's garden. And I brought her out there and I'm trying to surprise her, and she's like, you know, she's tired, she's pregnant, you know, she's like, she's not really connected. I'm trying to get her connected. I'm trying to bring her over here, and then I bring her over. Somehow I tricked her into like coming over into the garden area, and I was like, "Hey, what kind of flower is that? Look at that! What kind of flower is that?" It was a real pretty flower. I have no idea what kind of flower it is, and neither she did. I knew she didn't, but I was trying to get her attention to the flower because it had the ring on it. So when you know, when she turned around to get in the flower, right, and I'm like, is there something in this or something? I'm trying to, because she's not seeing it. Like, she's tired. She's probably ready to go inside and eat or something, right? She's 8 months pregnant. So I think finally she sees it. But long story short, when she turned around, I was on my knees. I proposed in my grandfather's yard, right? And so, you know, fast forward, I don't have the funds to throw a wedding. You know, all these things. So we were just engaged for a really long time. But then just before COVID, when I'm spread real thin, and you know she has these things going on, and I'll leave out all the you know details. But I'll just say, like, there was one night where we just didn't see eye to eye, and we had a big falling out. And I'm the kind of person, I'll work through anything, but she's not like me, and that's okay. She is who she is. I love her because she's the mother of my child, and I'm grateful for her. But like, her response is, you know, we have fight or flight, and you know, it was flight, and it is what it is. So, but from there, I worked really, really hard to try to make things work. And as you can imagine, there's so much going on in my life that my music's on the back burner. I'm barely getting through these classes. I'm barely able to coach because I'm trying to keep this energy up, but I'm going through all these things at home, trying to make it all about my son and her, right? And what I ended up doing was seeking counseling. I'm like, okay, why don't we go to a counselor And I thought, okay, you write everything down you want me to work on. I'll write everything down you want me to work on. We meet somewhere in the middle. We have this mediation through this counselor, and I'm not gonna lie, I got into it with the counselor, but he was way out of line. And it wasn't because of anything. Like, she couldn't believe, like, the counselor got kind of wrong with me. But I'm still grateful because he gave me this amazing book called The Way of the Superior Man. And if you're going through anything with a relationship or just in general, I strongly recommend that book by David Deida. Deida, I believe, but don't quote me on that. But that book really helped me see things that I was doing wrong. And I was really working hard to try to make things work. But ultimately, not all things are meant to work. You understand what I'm saying? So, here I am trying to repair things that it just wasn't meant to be repaired, right? And I'm not gonna lie, at one point she took my son and threatened to take him to another state, right? And I'm just saying that, right? But we worked it out, and we tried to, we were separated, then we got back together, then we separated, then we got back together, and then finally it was like, okay, it's done. It's a done data. I won't go into all the other drama because that's not what this podcast is about. I'll just say this. I was in a real dark place because just from the last few minutes of me telling you what my child meant to me, right? I'm not gonna lie to y'all, it was really hard for me to find that gratitude in that moment. I was grateful for my son, and I was grateful for her giving me my son. But I was having a hard time with accepting the fact that she had taken my son, and for the first time in almost 2 years, I didn't get to sleep with my son. I didn't get to see my son every day. And if you're a parent and you've been with your child every day, I think you know what I'm talking about. Because a parent's meant to be with their child every day, especially a parent that is disinvested. So I was in a dark place, and I started to fall back on some unhealthy things. But let me tell you what my silver lining was. This brand, Live Struggle Legacy. What I didn't tell you is, in the Mirror program, I bought while I was in the Mirror program, I bought an audio, I bought an interface, right? A sound recording interface, right? I bought a microphone. I brought a Pro Tools package. I bought some headphones. And so, I'm recording music, but, when my child was born, like, it just became school projects, not so much mission-based. Well, this is when I got with the homie Shooter Chief on these nights where I'm sitting there, alone and sad and doing some not so healthy things. What my lifeline was having this network of creatives, people like the homie Shooter Chief, shout out to homie Shooter Chief, people like Chris Cage, shout out Chris Cage, right? People like Class V, shout out Class V, people like the homie Louis Garcia, shout out Louis Garcia. These are all my family, extended family. And I had just met Louis in the Mirror program. I had just met Class V on an open mic night that Louis had invited us both to, and we connected. So it's like, in this darkest place where I'm barely holding on to life, y'all. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Being separated from my son, that was harder than 8 years of prison. I can look at you and say that matter of factly. That was harder than anything I had to deal with in Mississippi, with being locked up in a hole, with the diesel therapy, with feds kicking at my door, running from police, swimming. That was harder than any of that shit, hands down. To not be with my son, my flesh and blood, an extension of me, right? So it's like, to have all these people, and again, now it's gratitude. And I didn't even see it at the time, but looking back, these people saved my life. And helped me to be the father that I can be for my child today, because I almost lost it, y'all. I'm not going to lie. I almost lost it. I started taking psilocybin and everything. And I've never, been into psychedelics. But I was microdosing to try to accept things that I was having a real hard time accepting. You know what I mean? And it wasn't about a relationship, it's going to be real. It wasn't about a failed marriage, so to speak. It was about being detached from my child. But at the same time, had none of that happened, I wouldn't be here right now telling you this story. I wouldn't be wearing this t-shirt. I wouldn't be telling you about my bro. I wouldn't be rallying the troops for future episodes and seasons. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, if you could take anything from this, you gotta find the silver lining. Remember we talked about that yin and the yang? Well, I was way on that dark side. And I didn't see the light, y'all. But you know what the light was for me? Life, struggle, legacy. It's a whole movement. This episode 14, y'all. We got one episode left. I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like, comment, share. I appreciate y'all. This Live Struggle Legacy. We building pyramids.
Live struggle legacy. It's a whole movement.